In one of my recent videos, I introduced this magnetic iPad holder to the left here. So today I'm going to take you through the build process of how and why I built this. Initially, I wanted to have something as a reference monitor to put onto my whiteboard as I'm creating my ink paintings. Stick around, I'll take you through this. So let's start with the idea. Really, this was just born out of a little bit of necessity. I do a lot of ink paintings, obviously, but I do them without reference. Sometimes you want to have reference. In case you want to do a photograph or a likeness of someone, it'd be nice to help out. So I had an old magnetic iPad case that did not fit my iPad, and I wanted to take this and retrofit it into something that would work. So just going to freeball the prototype here. I kind of had a plan in mind. Nothing really set in stone because just kind of wanted to see where it was going to go. Figured I'd film it. So first things first, I'm cutting off the back pad of this iPad case. Each side of the iPad case has magnets in it, but this one seemed to be a little stronger when I tested it out. So right here, I'm just sort of lining it up and seeing how well this thing's going to fit and how much cutting I'm going to have to do. So what I'm drawing on here, just sort of tracing out, is just an IKEA cutting board. And I don't know why, I just thought, well, I have this, it's kind of a durable material, so let me cut this out. And the thinking here is that I'm going to make a sleeve on the front of this magnetic backing. So with this cutting board literally cut out, I'm gonna just round the corners off here to match the magnetic back and see how it's lining up here. Again, I don't have a real blueprint. I'm just kind of free-flowing. So it's a little bit of iterative prototype making. And I'm gonna clean up the corners here with the Dremel. Even though it's a rough prototype, I still want it to have kind of a feeling of something, you know, designed and machine made. And honestly, I kind of like the beat up looking aesthetic. It's a little more original. You can see I've put that cutting board through its paces. And it's kind of cool having all this paint and scuff marks on there, I feel like anyways. So I'm just drawing out a line here because the thinking is I'm gonna, you know, cut 2 holes or drill 2 holes here and cut a line to act as sort of a flap that I can insert the back of my iPad case into. So just sort of a sleeve that I can put the iPad in and out of. So there you go. There's the opening. And upon first test, it was a little snug. It wasn't fitting. The material wasn't flexing as much. So immediately I'm like, okay, you know what I need to do? I need to cut in or drill in a couple relief holes. And so all I'm doing here is allowing the material a little more flex and give so that when I put the iPad in, it's not so snug. This is kind of, I guess, in many ways like a living hinge somewhat in product design. So I'm just going to cut down. That just gives that material a little more flexibility. And you can see here, once I've got this cut out, now the iPad will just slip easily in and out. Pleased with it. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, all right, this is gonna work. And I wanted to give a little more of a recessed area. I'm just using a vitamin cap here to make sure my curve is right. So I'm just kind of cutting this out so the flap is a little easier. It's just a little finger groove that I can reach in once the prototype is finished. I can reach in and pull the flap back with a little, you know, a little more ease, so I don't have to try to like fidget with the thing. Gonna run a Dremel along the edges, try to clean them up as much as I care to. Gonna leave some rough burrs there because I think it's pretty cool prototype. Looks legit handmade that way. And there we go. It's starting to come together. It's pretty simple design. And here we go. It's looking pretty good. I'm like, okay, pleased with this. Now we're on to number 3, the surface prep and assembly. I'm just going to spray the back down with some alcohol, clean as much of this off as I could. A lot of that paint wouldn't come off. And just prepping the surface for when I'm about to glue it together. The reason I chose to go with some glue on this is simple. I didn't have rivets on me, and number 2, I didn't want to interfere too much with the magnets that were going to make surface or contact with the whiteboard itself. So I'm just drawing out the areas here and using a bit of barge contact cement. Gonna put that on and spread it around a bit, and then I'm gonna let these pieces individually dry for a few minutes before sticking them together. This was indoors, and I did have ventilation going behind me. I also had the door open, so I was not suffocating myself on these fumes. I would recommend wearing a respirator. So now with them adequately dry, I'm gonna put these two together, instantly sealing it. It's a nice, clean, smooth bond. I don't have any rivets sticking out. I have not interrupted the magnets on the back. And so I'm gonna run to the garage and just give it a few hours and press it between 2 45-pound plates. Check out my sweet gym accessories there. So here we go. Pure genius. Look at that. It's ready to go. It's sealed together. It's very solid. And I'm going to slide the iPad into place. I'm feeling so good right now at this point. It's amazing. It only took like a half a day, and here we go. Wait a minute. Yup. Some reason it's a little heavier than it initially was when I tested it out. So I'm not faking it here. I'm kind of irritated, honestly. And I quickly walk off camera before punching the wall. All right, gotta figure it out. Gonna work the problem here. Took me a little bit. Took a few minutes. Think about it. Looked at this other remaining piece of the initial iPad case. Now, you see right here, all I really need to do is attach those 2 tiny little magnets right there. That's it. That is the difference between my iPad sticking and not sticking. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to integrate this additional flap. And I'd like to make it, like I said, as clean and as real of a looking product as possible. So I'm going to draw this out, and thinking here is I'm going to open this up, break this apart, and see, what's inside. And this was very difficult to get into. This was, you can see, it took me several minutes actually to finally break this backing board, which on the inside was actually kind of like a motherboard type material. Very weird, but it's kind of a resin, not necessarily fiberglass, but very strong resin. So the majority of this piece here has no magnets in it. It is literally the 2 tiny little red pieces there on the very bottom. So my thinking is I'll remove all of this resin backer so that all that's left is this fake pleather surface. So it's a very, very thin piece of material, and as you can see here, just took a little bit to break out the backer, but once I did, it was looking pretty good, and I was like, okay, this is gonna work. This is gonna work out quite nicely. I don't know if I would have come to this conclusion had I, done a detailed blueprint. Of course, I'm gonna clean up my workspace because I really cannot stand mess, so I'm cleaning every 5 minutes. And this is kind of what I'm thinking is I want to have a nice thin back, because the last thing I want is for this additional piece to ruin the magnetic hold against the whiteboard. So I'm just tracing out with the back of the razor the area that I will now run contact cement over. So I'm back out in the garage, going to do a quick fix here. Gonna let that set, gonna glue the other piece on, and give it a little time to dry. Barge is great. Contact cement is really spectacular. Very, very potent stuff though. So again, if you're using this, definitely have a respirator on and some ventilation. After it dries for a few minutes, I'm gonna stick this together, and this bond is not coming apart. Pretty decent looking. I mean, it's, you know, it's jank, but it's my jank. Again, gonna reuse this footage because it's beautiful, and I'm gonna press it between two 45-pound plates. Again, look at that gym setup, amazing. What can I say? This is super genius. It's fit together, it's nice, it looks beat up, it looks pretty cool, I'll say so myself. Everything feels solid, and it's not that bad a piece to look at. Gonna slide the iPad back in and give it one more test. And boom, there we go. It's exactly what I was looking for, something to stick on the whiteboard and allow me to have images if I want to pull up references for my paintings in the future. There's some close-up details, and very pleased with how this turned out. So if you see me using this in future videos, now you know the little backstory behind this. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please check out one of these other videos right here, and I'll catch you next time.